Alright, so today I'm talking about the difference between fault and responsibility, because anyone who's ever dealt with an asshole cyclist, or basically if you've ever watched a video on YouTube about a car crash, you know that a lot of people don't get the difference. Now, my first demonstration is going to be, you're driving down the road, here's the road, and here's your car, and then here's a side road with another car coming out. Now, if this car pulls out and you smash into him, the legal fault is held at this guy because you had the right of way, and he blew the right of way, pulled out in front of you, and caused the accident. However, if you're driving down the road and you see this guy is not going to stop, it is your responsibility to stop and prevent the accident. And he may be held at the legal fault for causing the accident. But if you see that there's going to be an accident and you don't do anything to stop, you are the one who is responsible for the accident. There's a difference. Fault is just a legal term, meaning who gets blamed. Responsibility is seeing that somebody's about to pull out and stopping or avoiding the collision. In fact, what a lot of people don't realize is legally, if you see that this guy is coming out and you choose not to brake or avoid the collision and you cause the accident, if this guy, the guy who is at fault, can prove you knew there was going to be an accident and didn't do anything, you can actually be held at fault. It could be a double fault where both people are held at fault, or it could be completely you held at fault for not avoiding the accident. And here's another situation that I'm sure a lot of us have dealt with. Here's the car, here's you, and here's a twat on a cyclist. Now, you're in front of him, and you're signaling that you're going to turn right at this intersection. And you go to turn right, and the dip smack on the cycle tries to squeeze past you, and you hit him. Now, legally, you are required to check your blind spots and make sure that you don't hit anything. So legally, you're going to be held at fault for this. Now, let's look at it from a common sense point of view. The cyclist sees that you're turning, sees your signal, sees you turning, and still tries to go. Now, logic dictates that the cyclist is at fault because he clearly was being stupid and he was being a dick by trying to force pass you when he was turning. Now, the cyclist is responsible for the accident because he's the one who committed the action that caused it. However, the law has determined that the vehicle turning or changing lanes is the one held at fault. And the same instance could be described in if a car is turning left, has his signal on, and is in the process of turning, but this car decides to pass and smacks into him, the car that is turning is held at legal fault because he should have been checking his blind spot. But anyone who's logically reasoning can see that the car that decided to pass, knowing this car was turning, and then slammed into him, is going to be held at fault. Or, sorry, is going to be responsible, and should be held at fault, but they won't be. Now, again, if the car that is turning can prove that this car that was passing knew he was turning and deliberately hit him, then the car that was passing could be held at fault. But, as it stands, the car that is turning is getting screwed here, because there's nothing he can really do. He can't predict that this guy is going to be a dip smack and deliberately hit him. He can't predict that anybody's going to be so stupid as to try and pass in an intersection, which you're not supposed to do, or try to pass a car that is turning, which you really are not supposed to do. However, the law is very backwards on this, and it has determined that if you are changing lanes, if you are turning, or anything like that, you are automatically at fault for a rear-end accident. Because we all know that if a car rear-ends you, the car that hits you is at fault. But the second you're changing lanes and a car rear-ends you, or the second you're turning and a car rear-ends you, you become at fault because you're turning. And it's the same concept with the cyclist. Because you're turning, you're held at legal fault, even though anyone who's remotely intelligent knows that it's the fault of the dip smack that's trying to pass somebody who's fucking turning. And now, I want to make it clear, I'm not talking about the left or right hook, depending on your nation, where the car and bike are side by side, and then the car then attempts to turn, hitting the bicycle. I'm referring to when the bicycle is behind the car, which, if you've all, like, here's an example. Q. First car is turning, the second car has to wait and then goes. I'm referring to when a bike comes up, sees this car turning, and still tries to pass, causing an accident. That is the situation I'm talking about. Where the car may be at legal fault, but the bicycle is at common sense responsibility.